Hello everyone, I'm here with the story of my cheating husband. I'm sure you've heard many stories about cheating partners, but have you heard about one where the man used his own father's illness to hide his affair? Well, my husband Benji decided to do just that. Benji and I were together for 3 years before we got married. We met through his father, Nick, who was my professor in college. He was also my dad's best friend and loved me like his own child. I had never met Benji before, because we lived in different states before college. After we met, we clicked right away. He was a funny and charming man who would impress absolutely anyone. We started dating, and after 3 years, he proposed. However, after we got engaged, a problem came knocking on our doorstep. It was his best friend, Sonia. She came into my house and started to scream at Benji. "How dare you get engaged to someone else?" Without telling me, I wasn't here for 3 years, and you decided to get engaged within this time.
Benji, calm down. I wanted to tell you about us, but you rarely visited here. You didn't even tell me that you were coming back for good. I got to know that today. You've no right to attack me for not telling you. You're the one who hid this relationship from me. I will never forgive you for this.
I was pretty confused and alarmed by the interaction. Yes, I had heard about Sonia before, but I never saw her in person. She was living in a different state with her dad before coming back here for good. I always looked forward to meeting her, but what happened that day made me very uncomfortable. Benji tried his best to calm her down and then sent her home.
Sten, why did she react that way, Benji? Her reaction was completely over the top. Why didn't you tell about our relationship before? I thought she was your best friend.
She is my best friend, Riley. That's exactly why she's so pissed. She can be a little territorial about me, so I didn't have the courage to tell her, don't worry, she'll come around.
I don't know, Benji. I have a weird feeling about this. I really don't know what to think about her reaction.
My doubts were actually right. I wish I knew that back then. Benji handled everything and didn't let me see that side of Sonia again. However, Sonia did send me some offensive texts saying I was a bitch and that Benji would always be hers. Her texts were highly insulting, and I showed them to Benji. He talked to her again and made her stop. I received texts from Sonia saying I was a witch and that Benji would always be hers. Her texts were highly insulting and I showed them to Benji. He talked to her again and made her stop. Fast forward 2 years. Benji and I finally got married. We had a pretty good marriage. But Sonia was always an issue between us. She was still unemployed and Benji was helping her out with money. He didn't earn much himself, so I had to add more to my share of household expenses. I argued with Benji about this, but he refused to stop helping his best friend in need. Yes, I was that stupid. My stupidity came to an end when I discovered hotel and flight bookings for the two of them. I was checking our joint account and found those purchases. I was shocked and decided to snoop a little on Benji's Facebook, which I had access to. And behold, he was cheating on me with her. I was hysterical and broke down in tears. Benji was not around when this happened. When I texted him to know where he was, he replied that he had to take his father to the hospital. Since the dates on the tickets were the dates for that day, I immediately became suspicious. I called Nick to ask him where he was. He was at home, of course, so I got into my car and drove to his place one town over.
Hey, Riley, what's up? Why are you here so late? Something wrong?
Nick, I don't know how to say this. Benji's cheating on me with Sonya.
No, that can't be true. I trust my son. He knows how horrible it is to cheat on someone. He loves you and would never do that to you.
I can show you that he has cheated on me, Nick. I have all the proof. You have to believe me. He used your disease as an excuse to hide his affair. He said you got sick again, and he had to take you to the hospital, seeing that Nick was having a hard time believing me. I called Benji and put him on loudspeaker. Benji, where are you? It's late and you're still not home. I'm getting worried. Buddy's foreshadowing a back. I'm
at the hospital with my dad. He had a health scare out of the blue. I came here as soon as possible.
Oh my God, Benji, is he okay? Should I come down to the hospital?
Doctors are checking him, but it will take some time. You don't have to wait for me. I think Dad will be staying here for the night for observation. I'll be here tonight and come home tomorrow after I drop him off at the house.
Okay then. I will just drop by and visit him. I can even bring you something to eat.
No. That won't be necessary, Riley. The hospital staff don't want too many people in the room. I'm staying here, so that's enough. You can visit him later. He needs time to recover. It's quite late, so why aren't you driving, Dark Soul?
Oh, so I take it that you will be home tomorrow.
I don't know, Riley. I might have to stay back if he gets admitted for a few days. I'll call you back tomorrow and inform you. I'll just hang up now. The nurses don't like it when I talk on the phone. Hey, for too long.
Before I could get any more information about him, he hung up on me. I should have predicted that this would happen. Nick was furious at Benji, which was evident from his face. I sighed at what Benji said, because at that point I was just tired instead of being angry. I was exhausted and wanted to get out of this marriage. I said, "There, Nick, I'm sure you believe me now. He's been using you as an excuse to go see his mistress. I know Sonia is also in there with him. As I showed you, they both have their names on the tickets and hotel."
You have no idea how pissed off I am right now. As if cheating on you wasn't bad enough, he used my health as an excuse to stay with his affair partner, and Nick is disgusting and shameless. I can't believe I have a son like this. Don't know what there are some. I don't know what you plan to do with him, but I'm done. Willie filing for divorce. I'm sorry, Nick, but this is it. I refuse to be used by Benji so that he can go have fun with his mistress. I won't. But hold you up to the deal. He's your son, and I would understand if you forgive him.
Absolutely not, Riley. I won't look past this sin just because he's my son. You know what, Riley? Let's do this. I will uphold the deal. On my end, I will disinherit him.
You don't have to do it, Nick. I understand that he's your son. I won't be mad at you. I promise.
Girl, you are just as much my child as Benji might be my daughter-in-law. But don't forget that I have always considered you to be my daughter.
Hearing Nick say that brought tears to my eyes. After losing my family, I really did consider Nick to be my family as well. So when Nick told me that he sees me in the same way, it meant the world to me. It's the same way that sees me. It made me happy. Even if Benji abandoned and betrayed me, I still had Nick. Nick was adamant that he would make Benji pay for his sins. We didn't confront Benji today. Both Nick and I had to make a lot of arrangements before confronting him. The first thing I did after returning home was to call a divorce lawyer. He's a friend of mine, so calling him late wasn't an issue. He heard everything, and I sent him all of the proof of Benji's cheating. He promised to prepare the divorce papers the next day. Nick also called his family lawyer and redrafted his will. Benji was of course having the time of his life with Sonia. He did call me twice a day to check up on me, but I never picked up the phone. I didn't want to talk to him. I know it's wrong to ignore someone who's supposed to be your husband, but I just couldn't bring myself to talk to him. Benji returned home a whopping 3 days after he left. He extended a day, seeing that I didn't suspect a thing. He was in for a big surprise when I would destroy his fake love for me, but he didn't see it coming. Still day to tell me that his father was not doing well and was still in the hospital. I simply recorded the calls and sent them to my friend as evidence. Just with his bag still packed, I told him to sit down in the living room. I also told him that I was going to record our conversation for something important.
Israel, what's the matter, Riley? You are scaring me with your seriousness. Tell me what's wrong.
I said, why don't you start by telling me what you were for the last 3 days? I would love to hear it from you in person.
Riley, Dad was sick, so I needed to take care of him. You've released just yesterday. I dropped him home, stayed the night, and came back today.
Oh, really, Benji? So why was he suddenly taken to the hospital? What did the doctors say?
He was having some chest pains and was feeling sick. The doctors wanted to monitor his blood pressure for a few days. He is fine now. You can call him and ask. He is at home.
I'm sure he is at home right now, but I don't think he went to the hospital after all.
What do you mean, really? Oh God, please don't tell me you're jotting me again. I'm sick and tired of being attacked, even when I have been the perfect husband.
Don't make me laugh, Benji. The perfect husband won't go around sleeping with his best friend behind his wife's back. Cause Sonia, you used your father as an excuse, or is she involved in the entire planning as well?
Stop it, Riley. Don't talk about Sonia like that. You make her sound like a wicked homewrecker. It's shameful that you are suspecting your own husband like this. You've always been jealous of Sonia. She's beautiful, so you are finding ways to make our relationship inappropriate.
Your manipulative tactics won't work anymore, Benji. Guess what? I went over our bank statements and found some interesting hotel bookings and plane tickets. I'm sure you already know whose names I found.
Benji then went on to berate me and somehow turn this on me. While he was doing that, Nick walked in through the door. I had informed him about Benji's arrival when he texted me last night. When Nick walked in through the door, Benji took one look at him and went pale. He looked very panicked and started to sweat. He said, "Hey Dad, what are you doing here? What a surprise, Dad. I thought I should be at home after getting so sick and all."
I thought you should be at home after getting so sick and all. Jotting down, you talking all the sickness you faked to go have an affair with Sonia. You have recovered from that just fine, son. No thanks. To you, of course, so.
Dad, what are you talking about? I can't believe you'll say things like that. I'm not having an affair with Sonia. But you see, it's just...
Benji started to stutter, seeing that he had been cornered by us. He was thinking hard about how he could come up with more lies about his affair. He realized pretty quickly that he was getting caught. He's in his own lies. I decided to make things easier for him. I said, "There's no need for you to make up lies, Benji. I was at Nick's place when you gave me the bullshit story of taking him to the hospital. He was sitting right across from me and hearing everything since I put you on loudspeaker."
There's no need for you to make up lies, Benji. I was at Nick's place when you gave me the bullshit story of taking him to the hospital. He was sitting right across from me and hearing everything. But since I put you on loudspeaker, yes, that's right. I heard everything, Benji. I heard how you used my sickness to hide your affair. I saw how you booked a nice vacation from your joint finances to spend quality time with your mistress. I really hope this trip was worth it, Benji.
I heard how you used my sickness to hide your affair. I saw how you booked a nice vacation from your joint finances to spend quality time with your mistress. I really hope this trip was worth it. Benji, I have some good news for you, though. There is no reason for you to lie to me or cheat on me. I've already filed for divorce, and here are the papers. We can go to a lawyer or opt for mediation and settle things. After that, you're free to do what you want with Sonia. Oh, just remember that I will stop putting money into our joint account, so you're on your own. Benji, I have some good news for you, though. There is no reason for you to lie to me or cheat on me. I've already filed for divorce, and here are the papers. We can go to a lawyer or opt for mediation and settle things. After that, you're free to do what you want with Sonia. Oh, just remember that I will stop putting money into our joint account, so you're on your own. Was mediation and settle things. After that, you're free to do what you want with Sonia. Oh, just remember that I will stop putting money into our joint account, so you're on your own. So with the
Kisnyam, one-time thing, Benji. I read your text with Sonia. I've seen how you have been with her even before we got married. It also didn't help that Sonia fed into my insecurities and suspicions. I've already filed for divorce, and here are the papers. We can go to a lawyer or opt for mediation and settle things. After that, you are free to do what you want with Sonia. Oh, just remember that I will stop putting money into our joint account, so you are on your own.
Okay. Okay, Lou, I confess that I want to stay with Sonia, but it was a one-time thing. You don't have to take such a drastic step for a one-time thing.
So, a one-time thing. Benji, I have read your text with Sonia. I've seen how you have been with her even before we got married. It also didn't help that Sonia fed into my insecurities and suspicions. I've already filed for divorce, and here are the papers. We can go to a lawyer or opt for mediation and settle things. After that, you are free to do what you want with Sonia. Oh, just remember that I will stop putting money into our joint account, so you are on your own. A one-time thing, Benji. I have read your text with Sonia. I've seen how you have been with her. Even before we got married, it also didn't help that Sonia fed into my doubts by making me feel jealous. I must say, you're a fair partner. Gave me a great incentive to snoop. Benji, please don't do this. I promise I will cut off all contact with Sonia. It can go to marriage counseling and make things better. We don't have to get a divorce.
Natalie, please don't do this. I promise. I will cut off all contact with Sonia. We can go to marriage counseling and make things better. We don't have to get a divorce. Dad, please help me convince. Riley.
Be freaking kidding me, Nick. She has all the right to divorce you. You were just begging to get her back so you could have fun on her dime. How dare you ask me for help? I will never help you with anything again. In fact, I have already disinherited you.
He's hearing this, Benji becomes even more apologetic. He started to beg us not to take away our financial support, as he didn't work much and took care of Sonia as well. Our money meant a lot to him. We should have cut him off sooner, but love is a stupid thing. Good thing that we have learned our lesson. Me and Nick would no longer be Benji's ETM. Since Benji wouldn't stop harassing us for forgiveness, we jointly kicked him out. The house was mine and his bags were already packed, so it was super convenient for me. Benji left but kept blowing up our phone with texts of apologies and forgiveness. We turned off our phones and discussed the next steps we would be taking against Benji. Nick has already sent the papers to disinherit Benji. He was leaving a part of his estate to a niece and the rest was left to me. He told me that since I was the one who truly cared about his health and didn't use it for my own benefit, the majority of his estate would be left to me. Own benefit, I deserved this much from him. Besides, he thought of me as his own daughter and wanted to leave me something. I was crying tears of sadness and happiness after everything was over. Look, I won't say that I never felt sad about my marriage again. It was super hard to look past the good times and put on a brave face. However, I also knew that those good times were built on lies. What also helped was the fact that Sonia kept rubbing my face when Benji moved in with her. She texted me and said, "See, Riley, I have won. You have lost the love of your life to me. I had warned you, MRT2, that Benji would always be mine. You should have listened to me. Look how you're suffering right now. Suffering, Sonia? Don't delude yourself. I have been freed from taking care of a man-child. Couldn't even earn enough to support himself. The sheer financial burden of staying with him was enough to ruin the joys of my marriage. I wish you well with the financial burden you just took in." It finally dawned on Sonia that Benji would get absolutely nothing from me, and she also must have realized that she would have to get a job to support herself and Benji. Gone were the days when she didn't have to move a finger to provide for herself. Sleeping with Benji was enough to bring in good money for the month, but now she would have to work to feed herself. With zero qualifications and experience, she knew well enough what kind of job she would get. Realizing these things, Sonia went completely silent. I didn't have time for her anymore. I simply hung up the phone. In the next few months, a lot happened. Benji and I got divorced because, well, there was no way I was getting back with him. He chose mediation, and even the court representative hinted that he had no leg to stand on, so he was forced to sign the divorce papers. He did lose quite a bit of money in lawyer fees. That hit his wallet really hard since I was no longer supplementing his income. He kept having horrible fights with Sonia and called me with crying apologies. Apparently, even then, Sonia was refusing to get a job and help him out. Benji was forced to take refuge with a friend who was the only one who was willing to help. Beat him out. He also kept blabbering about how he was sorry, and he would make it up to me. I simply shut the door on his face. Benji also went to his father, who did the same thing since Nick's wife cheated on him too. He was a very low tolerance for cheaters. He was mad that his own son disrespected his teachings and decided to cheat on me. Benji was forced to take refuge with a friend who was the only one who was willing to help him. Everyone else abandoned him after the affair came to light. They are actually people of ethics who don't take cheating lightly. Benji is currently dodging Sonia, who's trying to get him back. I guess it finally dawned on her that her leeching ways would chase away the love of her life. Benji has no wish to get back with her and is struggling to get his life back on track. Meanwhile, I'm doing much better and going out on dates as well. I have met some great people and finally feel like I will also find my happiness like others. Hello, my name is Macy and I'm 30 years old. I'm here to talk about how I let go of my leeching in-laws and husband. Before I start talking about my crappy experience, let me introduce myself some more. I grew up in a low-income family. Most months, we barely made it to the end. Sometimes, we even had to starve. I had seen what poverty was like firsthand. It's not something I take very lightly. I know what real hunger pains feel like. I know what it's like to survive winters without heating. I didn't want to perpetuate the cycle of poverty that my family seemed to be going through, so I studied really hard. I was fortunate enough for my parents to be able to afford my education. There was not a day that went by when I wasn't buried in my books. All of my days studying, I got a full ride at my dream college. While at college, I picked up various odd jobs to keep myself afloat. If I had any extra money, I would send it back home to my parents. It was in my junior year of college that I met my husband, Sam. At the time, I was working as a barista at a cafe that was pretty popular among the students of my college. One of my coworkers at the time was Sam. We were somehow always stuck with opening and closing duties together, so as we worked, we began making small talk with each other. Soon, it got to a point where I eagerly waited for my opening and closing shifts because I loved working with Sam. Sam felt that way too because he asked me out. I said yes, and we ended up going on our very first date to the amusement park. We started seeing each other seriously. We were pursuing different fields, but both graduated at the top of our classes. We got placements with these amazing firms. They were a great starting point for us. We moved in together 5 months after graduating. We worked at our first jobs for about another year. We didn't make amazing money, but we made enough to get us by. Now, here's where Sam and I did things differently. While Sam chose to continue working with his firm and wait for promotions, I quit mine and started working at a different place. I was immediately given a small pay raise, a new job, and I kept doing that for a couple of years before I was easily making twice Sam's salary. Sam had gotten a couple of raises, but that was about it. Obviously, with this large gap in our incomes, Sam wanted to make some changes to how we manage household expenses. We had been splitting everything 50-50, but then Sam didn't want to do that anymore.
I've been needing to talk to you about something. Where I know we've been splitting
all our bills and expenses 50-50, but I don't think that's fair to me as you're making double what I'm making. But
B mean it's not fair.
be a success now, Other than I'm by practically struggling. I'm practically struggling by the end of the month while you have more than enough to get by.
Okay, but I'm not spending it on me. I'm sending my parents money too.
Yeah, but you still have a lot left, you know?
Okay? Well, and it's hardly unfair. I worked hard to get where I'm at right now. I've asked you to do the same thing that I did.
You know that it won't be easy for me to do what you did. Plus, it's so time consuming.
Obviously, you don't have to do the same exact things I did, but you've had so much experience at your company that you'll definitely find a better job with better pay.
It's not what I wanted to talk about. I just wanted to ask you if we could split the expenses more fairly.
Besides, what ratio do you want to split it in?
70-30.
That's too much for me and barely anything for you. I'll go till 60-40.
Alright, I can live that.
I was really upset with the way Sam was seeing things. I mean, I know we worked in different fields, but his field worked similarly to mine. I hated how Sam didn't want to make an effort, but I let it go because I didn't think it was a hill worth dying on. Our relationship didn't have many issues after that. We worked with our new arrangement, and I did notice that Sam seemed a lot less stressed and a lot more happier, even though I wasn't initially happy with the arrangement. Seeing Sam look happier made me feel better. About 2.5 years into dating, Sam proposed to me. I was overjoyed and excitedly said yes. Our wedding was a small and private event. Only our immediate family and our closest friends were present. It was the first time I met Sam's family. They lived in the state over. I never really got to meet them because I was too busy working and I never really had any real time off. My only time off was weekends. Holidays were the best time to make the most amount of money I could, even after graduating. The new jobs kept me really busy. Sam would make frequent trips to visit home, and whenever they would ask for me, he would tell them I was busy. So the wedding was a great bonding moment for us. Since we cut down big time on the wedding costs, Sam decided that we should move into a different flat. I was skeptical about it, but we had more than enough saved to make a down payment. Since we significantly reduced the wedding costs, Sam suggested we move into a different flat. I was skeptical about it. Sure, we had more than enough saved to make a down payment for a bigger and pros better place, but most of that saved money was mine. I told him so. However, I had reservations about buying an expensive apartment. We have more than enough money for a down payment, yes, but most of it's mine. I told him that we should consider it carefully, as a significant financial decision.
Baby, I don't think splurging on an expensive apartment is a smart decision. We should think about our future and not overspend.
But we have more than enough money for a down payment.
Yes, but most of it's, that's mine. We need to be cautious about our spending, especially as we're planning to start a family soon. I know.
Baby, we're getting married. There will be no such thing as mine or yours.
Oh, there definitely will be. We're signing a prenup.
But, I will say that that's only for people who are going to get a divorce. Do you think we won't last?
No, it's nothing like that. It's just a smart and safe thing to do. So is not buying a huge apartment right now.
Fine, I'll agree to the prenup, but I won't agree with not buying a new place. I mean, look at our place. It's tiny.
So, what's the issue with that? We can live comfortably in a smaller place and it will be more affordable.
Sometimes my family would want to come over and spend time with us. I don't want to spend time at a hotel.
Understand, but we can make arrangements for that. It's not necessary to buy a big apartment for that reason alone.
You never listen to me. All you want is your way. Why are you marrying me at this point?
There's no need to get rude. I'm marrying you because I love you. It's because I don't agree with everything you say. Doesn't mean I love you less.
Please, you'll appreciate it a lot in the future. Let's just get a new place.
Fine, but the apartment will be in my name. I will not debate that.
Fine.
Our new place was a penthouse. It had 2 bedrooms, 2 baths, and 1 office. Thankfully, it was not in a very happening area, so it was very affordable. I had also gotten a huge promotion at work. That month, I was promoted to head of my division. Sam and I celebrated big the night after I learned of my promotion, and it was the best night of my life. But then, tragedy struck. First, Sam lost his job because he wasn't doing his job properly. I was upset, but I couldn't show it because I had to be supportive of Sam. He wallowed in his depression for a while. I mean, there was no need for him to work, because I made more than enough for both of us, but still, I wanted Sam to contribute in some way, especially because we were planning on starting a family. If we were going to have kids, we were going to need a lot of money, but Sam never seemed to listen. I decided to just let him be for a while and try and push him to work in a couple of months. Then tragedy struck again. Sam's family, about 2 months after Sam lost his job, due to some faulty wiring, there was a fire at Sam's home. Thankfully, aside from some very small injuries, every was safe and fine. The house wasn't completely burnt down, but it would take another 8 to 9 months to get repaired fully. Most injuries were minor. Everyone was safe and fine. The house wasn't completely burnt down, but it would take another 8-9 months to get repaired fully. So Sam approached me the next day and said, "Babe, I have something kind of big to ask of you." I replied, "Yes."
I was wondering, do you think we could invite my parents to stay here with us until their house is renovated? They have no other place to go to and they can't keep living in a motel. That's expensive and impractical. You know,
On course, they're my family too. There's more than enough space here for them.
Louis, are you sure?
Yeah, I could convert my office to a bedroom for your siblings, and your parents could take the guest bedroom.
No, darling. I mean, are you sure okay with my parents staying here for the rest of the year?
Why would I not be okay with it?
Oh, because, they'll be staying here for the rest of the year, right?
Yeah, and there's no problem with that.
Thank you so much, darling.
Actually, there's no need to thank.
A couple of days later, Sam's family moved in with us. I would love to say that it was easy living with them, but it wasn't. The first night they moved in, we had dinner together and talked about ourselves for a while. I learned a lot more about Sam and his childhood at that point. Sam's mother, Sally, had managed to save some of her childhood albums of Sam's, and she showed them to me. We gushed over how cute Sam looked as a child. I got to learn about Sam's siblings a lot more. He too. Cecily told me that they had Sam when they were really young. After a while of talking about themselves, the topic shifted to me. Sally said, "So Makey, tell us more about yourself." I replied, "Oh, I don't know what to say." Cecily said, "Tell us about your childhood." I replied, "Oh, there's not much to say. I didn't grow up with a lot of disposable income. I struggled really hard, but it was worth it because I'm living pretty comfortably today," Sally said. "Oh, is that why you're always working?" I replied. "Yeah," Sally said. "I'm glad you married our son then. I'm sure he'll provide everything you need." I said, Oh, but I'm the one providing for both of us." Allie said, "Oh, but I'm the one providing for both of us." I said, "Oh, but I'm the one providing for both of us." Then Sam interrupted and said, "Mom, did you show her that picture of me sitting in the driver's seat in Dad's old car?" Sally said, "Oh yeah, look at how silly he looks here." I looked back at Sally and her album, but the back of my mind was reeling with confusion. What did she mean by Sam providing for me? Did she not know that I'm the one providing for both of us? Why had Sam just interrupted me when I was trying to tell Sally just that? I knew that I had to talk to it. I waited patiently until Sam's parents decided that it was time to go to bed.
Who was that about earlier?
What do you mean?
He's starting the debate. Don't play dumb. Your mom said that you were the one providing for me. What was that all about?
About that, I didn't tell my parents I lost my job.
That's why I asked him.
What was said on that it's embarrassing. I didn't want to know that. I should know that their child was unemployed.
Okay, but why do they think that you're the one providing for me?
Why is that a bad thing?
No, I didn't mean it in a bad way. It's just that you've already lied about something, and I just want to know what else you've lied about so we can keep up with it.
Sorry, well, I also told them that I'm working from home and that I'm the one anymore. So,
Let me guess, because it would be embarrassing if I made more than you.
yeah.
I don't like this, but I love you, so I'll let it go.
Thanks, babe. You're the best.
If I'm being completely honest, I hated what Sam had done. I worked hard to get to where I was. He knew that. In fact, he was there for a good portion of it, and still he took it all away. But at the same time, I understood the importance of wanting your parents to think that you're doing well. Basically, I hated it, but I understood it. But the first week his family stayed with us. Everything was pretty good. But then their true colors came out. They left messes everywhere, and neither of them ever volunteered to clean up. Even after I had expressed how I wanted them to clean up after themselves. After a while of this, I gave up on asking them. I either took care of the messes myself, or I just let it be. Then it got worse. In the first month they were there, Sam's parents contributed to the utilities. The second month, they stopped. Honestly, I was fine with it, even though I was a little upset. What I was not okay with was officially accompanying me or Sam on our grocery trips and picking out the most expensive things and expecting us to buy them. On top of all that, they ran up our electricity and water bills like crazy. Sat down one night and just reviewed how much we had spent that month, and to my horror, I realized we had spent 5 times what we usually spend. So the next day, while we were all eating lunch together, I brought it up with Sam's parents.
Eshin, I don't know how to bring this up without making things awkward, but respectfully, in the nicest way possible, I need to ask you guys to cut down on the spending. I mean, you guys buy a lot of expensive items at our expense, and you've also run up our water and electricity bills significantly. It would be great if you could contribute a little. I wouldn't mind continuing to live this way.
What do you mean?
I mean, you guys buy a lot of expensive stuff at our expense, and you've run up our water and electricity bills by a lot too. I'm not trying to be rude, but our expenses this month have been 5 times what we usually spend. If you could contribute a little, I wouldn't mind continuing to live this way.
For contribute? This is my son's money we're spending. If he doesn't have an issue with it, you have nothing to say.
I was furious. I knew she was my mother-in-law, but she was staying in my house. She did not get to speak to me that way. I politely asked her to curb her spending, and she was so rude. And to make Sam worse, Sam didn't even back me up. You know, I wouldn't have minded if he kept his mouth shut. But he took his mother's side, and I did not like that one bit. I went to bed furious. I didn't speak to him or his family.
The turn of the next morning, I got up and went to work. I came back and Sam was waiting for me in the room. He began yelling at me for confronting his parents like that. I told him to keep his mouth shut, because he was the worst of them all. He had no say in anything, and I was going to make sure it stayed that way. Sam tried to tell me that his parents had gone through so much and asked me to just humor them for a little while, and I told him that if he wanted to humor them, he could do it at his own expense. I reminded him whose house they were living in. I told him that if they kept this behavior up, I would throw all of them out, including him, without an ounce of remorse. Sam didn't talk much to me after that for a week. Sam's family's behavior only got worse. They got increasingly invasive. They rarely allowed my privacy. If I was reading a book in my room, one of Sam's siblings would come in and sit next to me. If I was cooking food, Sally would walk in and tamper with my food so it fit the family's tastes. If I was working out at the complex's gym, Sam's father would be there. I had no space for myself. Initially, all of this was okay, but when you start to feel like your space is no longer yours, it's painful. I found myself spiraling into depression, and Sam just never seemed to care. He was just happy to keep the pretense going at my expense, literally. The final nail in the coffin was when I returned home from work really late. I was exhausted, and all I wanted to do was take a long warm bath, eat my dinner, and go to sleep. I didn't want to talk to or interact with anyone. So imagine my irritation when I walked into my house and heard loud laughter from a lot of women coming from my dining room. Still, I was exhausted and wanted to sleep, so I avoided talking to or interacting with anyone. When I walked into my house, I heard loud laughter coming from the dining room. I walked over to see what was going on and saw Sally surrounded by a group of women. I coughed to get their attention and politely asked Sally what was happening. She introduced me to her friends. A period appreciation and had also filed for divorce and prepared the papers. The next day, I went over to deliver the papers to Sam's family. Initially, Sally and Sam started yelling at me. Sam then changed his tune and asked me not to leave him, but I was so numb from the past few months of torture, disrespect, and lies that I didn't bat an eye at his tears. I felt a little bad when Sam's dad and siblings asked me to let them stay, so I told them they either had to pay rent at the market price or get out. The rent for such a large apartment was obviously taking a lot and out of their budget. They ended up moving out. Sam knew better than to contest the divorce, because if he did, I would have found a way for him to pay me back everything he owed me. I was sad that my wonderful relationship had come to this, but at the same time, I'm finally independent and able to take pride in my accomplishments. I realized that I'm never going to bend over backwards for anyone, no matter how much I loved them. I'm never going to let anyone use me ever again. And I think that's something everyone can take away from this. Remember to always live your slave and always be true to yourself. That's the one thing that makes life worth living. Thank you for listening.
I opened a room, so I went ahead and opened it. The result.
Hello guys, my name's Jill. I'm a widow who was unlucky enough to lose the love of her life at a very young age. My husband was truly my soulmate and my best friend. After he passed from a sudden illness, I heavily relied on my family for emotional support. My mom and dad were of great help, but my brother Kurt wasn't. Kurt was more interested in the fact that I had inherited $1 million estate from my husband. He was a rich man and left me with a lot of money. I also worked from home and got a decent salary. All in all, I was pretty well off, but that didn't matter to me. I would be traded all to get my husband back. Somehow, my brother wasn't interested in my feelings at all. Kurt had a stepdaughter, Nina, from his wife, Betty. They married 2 years ago, and Betty had been living with them. Kurt and Betty used to pester me to take over some of Nina's responsibilities. They said, "Jill, your husband did leave you with a lot of money. Any ideas on what you want to do with it?"
I am least interested in thinking about the money or estate, Betty. For now, I'm trying hard to recover from my husband's death.
Yeah, I understand that, but it sure is a lot of money. You don't even have kids. You should be using it on someone important.
What do you mean, Betty? And why are you so concerned about my money?
Relax, Jill. I was just having a discussion. You know, you have some family members who could really use some help. Nina has taken a liking to you. You should maybe spend some more time with her. Relax, Jill. We were just having a discussion. You know you have some family members who could really use some help. Nina has taken a liking to you. You should maybe spend some more time with her.
Yeah, since you don't have a child of your own, it will help you experience a little bit of motherhood. You'll be a great aunt to Nina. Think about it. Why don't I drop her off at your place when you...
I say I was really surprised by what Kurt and Betty were trying to tell me. Even our parents were ashamed of them. They scolded Kurt and Betty for making such weird plans. To be honest, I was extremely mad at my brother for thinking about taking advantage of me when I was still dealing with my husband's death. Plus, I didn't even know Nina that well for them to assume I would take her responsibility. Days passed, but Kurt and Betty never stopped trying to put Nina's responsibility on me. They often asked for money and told me how I should be helping them out more since I don't have children to spend on. I was getting really tired of their behavior. One day, I got so pissed that I told them off. I said, "You need to stop trying to pass on your child to me. Yes, I don't have children, but I superior and not entitled to taking care of your child. How can you be so mean, Betty? Nina is my niece, so she is already my family. You should not talk about her that way." Yes, exactly, Betty, she is my niece and not my child. It's not my responsibility to take care of her. It's yours and Kurt's. I scolded Betty and Kurt a lot that day, so they weren't quiet for a while. They also knew that the family was not very pleased with their behavior either. That's why things had been peaceful for some time. That was until Kurt gave us some shocking news. One morning, Kurt told us that Betty had gone missing. Apparently, she was having a mental health crisis and ran off somewhere. Kurt claimed to have informed the cops, and they are now looking for Betty. I was very surprised to hear this news. At meal portions, Betty seemed fine to me, so I didn't know what caused her to snap all of a sudden. Anyway, days passed and there was no sign of Betty. Kurt was taking a lot of help from family to take care of Nina, who was still with him. The poor girl was crying and asking for her mother, so the family took turns being with her. She was on summer break and needed a babysitter at all times when Kurt left for work. After managing for a few days, Kurt came to me with a request. He said,
Jill, I was hoping you could help me. Take care of Nina. She is very young and needs a mother figure right now. I don't know when we can get a hold of Betty. Nina has been crying for her mom, and I hate to leave her with a babysitter all day. Can you help me out a bit?
Sure, Kurt. My heart breaks for poor Nina. God knows where her mom is right now. I can't believe she would abandon her daughter like this. Still, I hope whatever mental health crisis she's dealing with right now gets resolved. That poor girl needs her mother. Until then, I can take care of her.
Great then. I'll drop her off whenever I'm at work. She is a good kid and won't disturb you much. I'll collect her back from your house after I leave work. Thank you so much for your help, Jill.
Kurt's sudden enthusiasm kind of threw me off a bit. He suspiciously didn't look like someone whose wife was missing and had left a small child. Nina had been a little distressed but looked fine. Me as well. Still, I could see that she was struggling with something, so I decided to help my brother out. No matter what beef I had with Betty, it shouldn't stop me from looking after a small child. Nina started to be around me a lot from then. Kurt dropped her off every day while he was on his way to work. Then he used to pick her up when he was off work. I actually gave him a copy of my house to make things easier. Thankfully, Nina settled in with me quite well. She loved being around me and was looking a lot better now. She looked a little weary at times, but it never lasted long. My house was feeling a bit full with her presence. I was fine paying for her meals and toys since I didn't want to put pressure on Kurt. However, I never expected Kurt to turn this into something permanent. One day, he said, "Hey Jill, I was hoping we could talk about something. So, I see that Nina is really happy with you. When she goes home, she can't stop talking about how great her day was. She He really loves you, Jill. I am happy to know that, Kurt. She is a good child and doesn't give me any trouble. I wonder how a woman like Betty ended up having such a good kid like Nina. Must be because to their father, who knows?
Yes, Jill, look, you stay alone and have plenty of room here. Nina loves it here and doesn't disturb you. I don't see how it can be a problem. I really need to concentrate on my work right now. I have a few business trips coming up, and we still are not close to finding Betty, so I was hoping, Nina could be with you full-time for now.
What? You want me to take in Nina full-time? Like you want her to stay here with me?
Yes, Jill. Okay, you stay alone and have plenty of room here. Nina loves it here and doesn't disturb you. I don't see how it can be a problem. I really need to concentrate on my work right now. Once my ducks in a row, I will take her back. You won't have to worry about her anymore. I think it's the show. I think...
Kurt, you can't just spring this on me. This is ridiculous. Our stepdaughter needs to stay with you. You can't just ship her off to me when things are tough. That's not being a good parent.
I know that. Jill, I'm trying to do the best for him. Nina, right now, please, think about that poor child and keep her. It's only for a short time. I really need to concentrate on my work and look for... Because having Nina around is distracting and I don't have time to pay attention to her.
The Kurt kept begging and pleading with me to let Nina stay with me. I was pretty annoyed with him but needed to think about Nina. It was true that she seemed happier with me, but taking her in-house was a big responsibility, so I wasn't sure. Somehow Kurt involved our parents and extended family who were also pressuring me to take Nina in. They felt bad for the child and for Kurt after being under immense pressure. I agreed to take Nina in. Kurt seemed to be very happy with this outcome. Slowly, Nina moved into my house and stayed there permanently. I set up one of the spare rooms for her and even added new furniture to accommodate her. Plus, I bought her a lot of toys and clothes. It's the sheer calculation that Kurt and Betty used to chalk out. This plan was mind-blowing. I was truly in shock. I decided to get some more information from Nina. Yes, it's true that I left Nina with my housekeeper when I went shopping, but I had no idea that Betty was sneaking in with the house keys when the housekeeper was busy with her work, and she somehow left before I returned.
You are so nice, Aunt Jill. I love you a lot. Dad says that you love me as well. Yes, Jill, I love being here. Mom likes coming here too. She says that one day you'll give me the house and we can all stay here together. She visits when you are out for groceries and shopping. She usually leaves before you come home. Mom said that she needed to do this for us. She wants you to take me in and keep me as your child. She says that you're rich and will give me a good life because you don't have children. That's why...
I do love you a lot, Nina. You are almost like my own child now. Do you like being here at my house? What do you mean, Nina? When did your mother talk to you about this? Your mom has been visiting this house? But how, Nina? I don't understand. I sit in my head. I couldn't believe how badly my brother and his wife betrayed me. I had a hard time believing what I was hearing from Nina. Yes, it's true that I left Nina with my housekeeper when I went shopping, but I had no idea that Betty was sneaking in with the house keys when the housekeeper was busy with her work. and she somehow left before I returned.
She did this.
How much of this does Kurt know, Nina? Is he helping your mom as well? I know Kurt wants me to take care of you, believe me. I like having you around. I'm just curious, so I'm asking.
Yeah, they told me not to tell you and pretend that Mom is not around. I love you, so I told you everything. I hope you're not mad at me.
Oh, Nina, I'm not mad at you, dear. Thank you so much for sharing your secrets with me. It was very exciting to hear this.
I wanted to get Kurt and beat the shit out of him. I felt used and manipulated. Those two imbeciles were using me to get my money. They played with my emotions and used their freaking child for schemes. I was fuming. I didn't know Kurt and Betty could be so greedy that they would go this far. They lied to the entire family to make Nina my heir. They were pathetic and disgusting as parents. I didn't even want to call Kurt my brother anymore. But first, I needed to catch them red-handed. I informed my housekeeper about what's going on and told her to keep an eye on everything. She was embarrassed by the fact that someone had been sneaking in behind her back. I assured her that I wasn't mad because my freaking brother was the one who gave Betty the key. Together, along with Nina, we made a plan. I was going to end this game once and for all. The next day, I decided to go on a shopping trip. I left the house in a good mood and went off in my car. Then, I made 2 circles around the neighborhood before hopping right back into the house. The housekeeper gave me the green signal and I marched inside straight into Nina's room. She was alone playing with her toys. I looked at her and raised my eyebrows. She nodded at me and pointed straight to the closet. I went to her closet and opened the door with a very serious face. Lo and behold, I found my dear sister-in-law, Betty, sitting inside the small space. As soon as she saw me, she turned as white as a ghost. As soon as she saw me, she turned as white as a ghost. I dragged her out and said, "So, are you going to tell me what you were doing in my house and hiding in my closet?"
I said, "So, are you going to tell me what you were doing in my house and hiding in my closet?"
I said, "I was just visiting my daughter."
Actually said, "Whom exactly gave you permission to enter my house? I don't remember ever giving you a set of my house keys. And weren't you supposed to be missing?"
Itchin, I said, "I got it from Kurt. I was missing Nina. I just came back today. I was desperate to see my daughter, so I came here without your permission." I repeated what I said before to emphasize my point. To Nance, I said, "She is a child and doesn't know what she is saying. You shouldn't believe her words." I tried to defend myself.
I see her playing at yaks. I said, "She is a child, that's why she told me the truth. You tried to recruit your child in your evil plans of enjoying my money," accused her. I said, "You should be ashamed of yourself, Betty. You should have thought twice before trespassing into my house. You know that I can get you arrested, right?" I threatened her.
Betty looked really frightened and started to sweat. It didn't occur to her that she literally came to my house illegally, and I was well within my rights to get her arrested. She was really nervous. When she comprehended the situation, she knew that she was stuck. I told the housekeeper to take Nina to my room so that Betty couldn't use her as a blackmail tool. She was stuck with me for good, I said. "Betty, Jill, there is no need to get the police involved. Swear I just returned today. I just wanted to see Nina, so I begged Kurt for the keys. I tried to reason with her.
Everpalm story asks, if he's that so, Betty, then why is Kurt saying that he still hasn't heard from you? Stop trying to twist the story, Betty. I called her out at Tadayami 18. I said, I know well enough that you and Kurt made up this plan to manipulate me. Your daughter has told us everything. I revealed what I knew.
Apachimer, I said. Jill, you have to understand. I only had her best interest in mind. I was a poor and desperate mother who wanted her daughter to have a good life. I tried to justify my actions.
Abkopity ET. I said, why you've been telling Nina about you all living in my house? Your daughter is a good kid, Betty. She knows that what you did was wrong. So she told us everything. I acknowledged Nina's bravery. Actually, I said, you thought you could take advantage of me by using your child. Well, you are wrong. Now, I will show you what happens to people who mess with me. I made my intentions clear.
Like, as soon as I said this, I could already hear the sirens in the distance. Yes, I called the cops on Betty the moment I walked in through my door. She entered my house without my permission. I was trying to teach her a nice lesson. She tried to run, but I caught her and kept her in place. The cops came and took my statement. Then they arrested her. I also graciously informed them about the whole situation, which absolutely shocked them. Needless to say, they contacted CPS to have them look into the case. Iswichanamstik Choro. Neima's mom was now in jail, so Nina's dad would get full custody of her. As for my brother, karma was knocking at his door too. After the cops took Betty away, I went straight to my parents. From there we called Kurt and told him to come over. By the time he arrived, he already knew that his grand plan had been discovered. He looked embarrassed and refused to meet our eyes. I said, "Do you have anything to say for yourself, Kurt?"
I'm sorry, Joe. I really did what was best for Nina. I knew that you had the means to give her a luxurious life. You are alone and don't have children, so we thought having Nina around would be good. Now for you too. Jill, please believe me. I only wanted...
That is bullshit, Kurt. You did this all for yourselves. Nina would be the happiest around her parents. Instead of working hard and providing for Nina, you decided to dump her on me instead. You didn't care if I was alone. You only cared about who my heir would be. So you used that poor child to trap me. I don't care what you wanted, Kurt. The truth is that you lied to me and played with my feelings. I helped you out all the time, and this is how you treat me. From today, you are on your own. Nina will going to her father anyway. After this day, I don't have a brother and don't even think about asking me for money again. I won't help you even if you are dying.
Kurt didn't expect me to be so hard on him. He looked shocked and immediately started to apologize and beg for forgiveness. He even tried to recruit our parents to speak for him. Instead, Up jumped on him and berated him for being a lying and scheming witch. They also told him that they felt betrayed and wanted nothing to do with him anymore, and they promised to tell everyone what a deplorable person he and Betty were. My parents were always high on morals and ethics, so my brother's greedy schemes and manipulations really set them off. They were also offended on my behalf and just wanted to teach the couple a nice lesson. After they screamed at him for an hour, they ungraciously kicked him out. Kurt did show up at my door to beg me for forgiveness. My police case had indeed landed them in a lot of trouble. CPS is looking into the case, and it looks like Betty will lose custody of Nina to her ex-husband. Kurt apparently doesn't have any savings to get Betty out of jail. Her husband was already on his way to get Nina while she stayed with me for the time being. I told Kurt that he deserved whatever was happening to them. Then I shut the door on their faces. From what I hear, no one is willing to support Kurt or Betty anymore. They are alone with a nice lawsuit hanging. It's on their head. Nina has been picked up by her father, who thanked me for taking such good care of her. Hi guys, my name is Maya. I am now a single lady. But once I was married to a horrible guy named Jack. His parents Shane and Yarina were equally bad and regularly made me feel like shit. To be honest, Jack and I both had good jobs and were earning a lot of money. But his parents never acknowledged that. They thought that I was a gold digger who mooched off their son. That was so true, but I never took a dime from them. They just assumed that I was after their money. They were always rude and condescending towards me, and I never felt welcome in their home. They treated me like I was beneath them, and they never bothered to hide their disdain for me. I tried to be friendly and make small talk, but they would always brush me off. They were always cold and distant towards me, and I never felt like I was good enough for their son. They made me feel like an outsider, and I always felt like I was walking on eggshells around them. They were never happy with me. Tense beast-tamens. Matter what I did, they always found something to criticize me for, and they never missed an opportunity to put me down. They were always quick to judge me and slow to forgive. I never felt like I could do anything right in their eyes. I always felt like they were watching me, waiting for me to make a mistake. They made me feel like I was never good enough for their son, and they made me feel like I was a burden on their family. I always felt like they resented me for being with their son, and I always felt like they wished I would just disappear. I finally had enough of their abuse and to do decretions. I left Jack and his family for good. I am now a single lady, and I'm much happier without them in my life. I have found a new man who treats me with respect and kindness, and I am grateful to be free of Jack and his family's toxic influence. I still talk to the little girl at times, but mostly my life is back to where it was. Maya very PTMIL very PTC will have the big gig. I replied, Anna, you'll have to do with the streets. She did not like hearing that. It's Jack's fault. He always said, Maya is very lucky to marry me. She does have the desire to lead a luxurious life. She couldn't have done that without my help, of course.
Do what Mom Dad has shouldered most of the finances of our house.
Jack, what are you saying?
Oh, Jack, you are such a generous guy. Any woman would be lucky to have you. Maya, you better take care of my son properly. If he leaves you, you'll be left with nothing.
Yeah, thank God we made you sign a prenup before marriage. We knew Mia wouldn't amount to anything, so we thought we should protect our son.
Yes, his parents made us sign a prenup. Look, I don't have a problem with prenups. I was just mad at the fact that Jack didn't even discuss this with me. He always told his parents that I earned way less than him and depended on him for everything. So they assumed that I was a gold digger. Jack always told me to go with his lies because his family would look down on him if they found out that I earned more than him. I really loved Jack and didn't want him to feel humiliated. So I put up with the insults, saying I was a freaking idiot for marrying Jack. That man didn't love me and didn't have any respect for me. He regularly humiliated me for earning less than him and spending all his money. All of them went especially. In fact, he was actually fired from his job a year ago and was dependent on me. But he didn't want his parents to find out, of course. Jack was getting on my nerves and draining my savings. The final strike came when I purchased a house. I got some inheritance money from a relative and was building a house fund. I found a great match and went for it. It was a beautiful house and immediately fell in love. I bought it and put the title in my name only. Jack protested, but I reminded him that he didn't pay a cent towards the purchase. Still, he would not stop pestering me. What put me over the edge was what he told his parents at a family dinner. We were having a good time until his parents decided to talk about the house. They said,
So I hear that, you two have bought a big house. I want to see the house before you guys moved in. It's truly one of a kind. Did you two already move in?
Yeah, Shane. I've finalized the deal just a month ago. It's already pretty well made, in furnished, so we moved in last week. We're still settling in, but it's nice to finally have a place of our own.
So, did you two buy the house jointly? I don't see how your meager salaries can buy such a big house. I guess my son paid most of the money.
No, Mom, you're wrong. I didn't pay most of the money.
At this point, I thought that Jack would rectify his parents' mistakes and tell them that the house actually belonged to me. I expected him to tell them that I was the one who paid in full and owned the house. But what he said next absolutely blew my mind. He said,
Actually, I paid for the entire house. My job has been going so well that I could save up a lot of money. So I thought I might as well buy a house in my name.
See, I knew it. My son is so successful that he bought a huge house all by himself. God, I am so happy for you, Jack.
Oh my God, I am so proud of you, son. It must have been a huge feat to buy your own house. You have reached the peak of success. My son, I am so happy for you.
Irina and Shane kept congratulating Jack and completely ignored me. I tried to get Jack's attention, but he was intentionally avoiding meeting my eye. I was getting really pissed by what I witnessed. He controlled my anger because I didn't want to shout at him in front of his parents. However, as soon as we left,
National. What the hell's that, Jack? Why did you tell your parents that you bought a mouse all by yourself? You didn't spend a penny on it.
Relax, Mia. I told them to make them a little happy. And I don't want them to suspect that I've lost my job. They would be extremely disappointed. What else was I supposed to do?
You could have said that we went 5,050 on the house. But no, you literally took all the credit for buying the house. I feel humiliated and cheated, Jack. This is very unfair.
So, Jamali, look, what's done is done. I am not gonna go back and correct myself. I won't humiliate myself like that. Who cares what my parents think?
So he had no problem humiliating me, but won't do that to himself for the truth. That day I realized something. Jack has completely changed after our marriage. He no longer cared about me or my his feelings. He was mooching off me for the last year and is showing no signs of getting a job again. I was getting tired of shouldering all the family expenses. He was even fighting with me to put his just the clear-eared name on the house title as well. Somewhere in my mind, I could understand that he was using me. Still, I was on the fence about what to do. That was until something more drastic happened. I carried the next evening. I was making myself a snack when suddenly I heard the doorbell ring. I was curious to see who was visiting, because there was a lot of commotion at the door.
Hurried downstairs and opened the door with a little look of uneasiness. I was shocked to see his parents at the door with all their stuff. His parents were smiling and laughing with Jack while they bought their things inside. Before I could ask what was going on, I heard them say,
Jack, we got all of our stuff here. We packed our things as soon as you told us that we could stay here. You're the best son ever, Jack.
We knew we raised you right when you told us to come stay at your new house. We've told all of our friends what a great son you are. We're so proud of you.
Yeah, I'm glad to make you proud, Mom and Dad. It's nothing, really. You guys were right. You need to stay with us. Since I bought such a big house, we have plenty of room to house you for free.
My mouth was hanging open as soon as I heard that. In no alternate universe did I ever approve of Jack allowing his parents to stay in my house. I could see that this house charade had gone too far. Still, I didn't want to confront Jack in front of his family. There was no way his parents were living in my house, that was sure, but I was trying to find a way to deal with this situation gently.
God, it is so nice to finally live in a big house. We were really getting cramped up in the old place. I'm so proud of my son for being this successful. This house is truly magnificent.
Yeah, he said that this place has 4 bedrooms. Imagine that, Irina.
Oh my God. Yes, 4 freaking bedrooms. We will take the biggest room out of all of those. It will be my dream come true. Come on now, Jack. Show us which is the biggest and best room. We can't wait.
Besides, horrible. Why not you two just wait here? Why sure as well have a chat with your son. I'm sure he has a lot of explaining to do.
Jack looked panicked when I said that. He started to look at everything except me. He knew that he was in deep trouble. I was already getting very angry at my in-laws' sudden arrival. Their demands for the biggest room also pissed me off beyond imagination. Jack could tell that this wasn't going to end well for him, so he decided to be a coward and hide behind his parents. He said,
Why do we need to talk in private since my parents will stay here from now on? We can just talk in front of them. I don't think it will be a problem.
So, are you sure about that, Jack? Well, I don't mind discussing this in front of your parents if you don't.
I have no problem as well, Mia. Go ahead and tell me what you want.
You know what I'm going to say, Jack? Your parents won't be living here. I won't allow this to happen. You didn't even consult me before inviting them over. How do you think this is okay?
How dare you say that to my son? This is his house, and he can do what he pleases.
Yes, he doesn't need your permission to keep us here. Know your place, Mia. You can't just talk to our son like that. You should be careful so that he doesn't kick you out. Now stop being a spoiled brat and show us the biggest room. We can't wait any longer. Take us to our room.
I don't think I'll do that, Arya.
Ina and Shane were super shocked by my audacity. I didn't know if I should be mad at them or not. Yes, they are super entitled people, but it was Jack's fault for lying to his parents. If Jack had lied to them and invited them over, we wouldn't be having this problem. Still, I knew that Irina and Shane were not completely innocent either. They were standing in my house and threatening to
Have me kicked out. I don't know how I can look past that.
What do you mean, Maya? If you don't show us the room, Jack will be unhappy. Our son has promised us that we can have the biggest room. We left our rented apartment because of that.
Yes, we came here today because Jack promised to take care of us. Our son is such a good man, and he knows how to take care of his parents. He was the one who invited us over to stay in his new house. You know, now we just... That's why we in early.
Well, in that case, run on my thermal. In that case, you have made a huge mistake. Irina and Shane, I don't think you can stay here at all, let alone get the biggest room.
How dare you, Maya? We don't need your permission to stay here. My son will show us our room if you don't. This house is not yours, so you can't dictate whether we can stay here or not.
You have that wrong. Irina, I guess Jack hasn't told you yet. This house belongs to me, ain't not him, so you won't be getting the biggest room. You will have to do it the streets instead.
Yeah, what? That's impossible. Jack has told us already that he bought this house.
Is that so, guys? Then why don't you ask Jack and find out the truth? I'm sure he will clear everything up.
A damn right we will, Aya. Jack, tell your wife that she is being a lying witch right now.
Yeah, Jack told her that you own a house. You have said so yourself. You said...
But Shane and Irina expectantly looked at Jack to tell them what they wanted to hear. Again, I don't blame them because it was Jack who lied to his parents. Jack was looking down at his feet and not saying anything. Slowly, it dawned on his parents that there was a possibility I was speaking the truth. They still couldn't believe it completely. I mean, all this while they thought that I was a gold digger with a bad job, and their son was a hardworking and successful man.
Jack, why aren't you saying anything? This house belongs to you, right? That's what you told us.
Why are you being so quiet, Jack? Tell her that she can't kick us out.
Guys, about Jeremy. What will he say, guys? He has been lying to you two all this while. I can even show you, the property papers that say I am the sole owner of this house.
Why can't that be true? You work a simple job and don't have a lot of money. My son has a huge income and can afford this house. There is no way that this house is yours.
Correction, Rena, your son had a huge income. He also didn't tell you that, he had been fired from his job a year ago. Since then, he has been living on my income. And for your information, I have, very good job. Just because I show off, that doesn't mean I am a poor woman. I am seeing...
Oh boy, you guys should have seen the expressions on Shane and Irina's faces when I revealed the truth. They were totally dumbstruck by my words. Jack, as usual, was still watching the floor, refusing to meet his parents' eyes. His parents kept asking him to confirm if what I said was the truth. He didn't utter a single word until I said,
Okay, that's enough drama for a sing day. Shane and Irene, I have entertained you two in my house for long enough. It's time you two take your things and leave.
Sir, Mia, you can't just, kick my parents out like that. They broke their lease to come to stay with us. They have nowhere to go right now. You can't just put them on streets.
I can and I will, Jack. They didn't consult me before making these horrible decisions, and you didn't think of taking my input before ensuring them a place at my house.
So look, this might be your house, but I am also your husband. If I say my parents will stay here, they will stay here. You can't kick them out.
That's right. This is also my son's house right now. Everything that belongs to you also belongs to him. So, you can't kick us out.
No, Irina can kick you out. And don't worry about Jack, because he will be kicked out with him too. Now, Jack, since you're still married to me, I will make a nice eviction notice for you, and, we'll make sure you want to stay, or else you just do want to stay married for long.
What you mean, Mia? Are you gonna divorce me? I stopped are you gonna divorce me?
Yes, my dear husband. I am going to divorce you. I will call my lawyer tomorrow and set up an appointment. I am sure we will be able to serve you by next week.
Isn't real good. Jack immediately panicked when I mentioned the divorce. He looked pretty pissed off and acted like I can't do that to him, or something. His anger also set me off, but I controlled myself. I would stoop to his level. He said,
You can go divorce me, Mia. If you do, I will take half the house and claim alimony from you.
How do you plan to do that, Jack? Have you forgotten the prenup that you and your parents made me sign? You want me to remind you what it said?
Jack was now suddenly reminded of the prenup that we had signed before we got married. It clearly said that under no circumstances we can ever claim alimony from each other. And it also said that the private assets will stay ours and won't be divided in case of a divorce. Back then, Jack and his parents made me sign this prenup to protect Jack. They never imagined that Jack would end up being the Voritanders, the one on the losing side. His parents had so much faith in his ability to succeed that they forgot what fate could do to people. Now, they understood the implications of the prenup. Suddenly, their entire demeanor changed. They said, now we don't have to jump to a divorce right away. We can all sit down and have an adult conversation about this. The conversation about this.
Yes, Mia. Let's just calm down and talk this out. I'm sure we might actually arrive at a compromise that will be beneficial for everyone.
I don't care what will be beneficial to you guys. I refuse to be the cash cow for you, Jack. And I refuse to let your parents take advantage of me after how badly they treated me.
That was in the past, Mia. Many years have passed since then. I'm sure you can look past that now. It was a very minor issue.
You and your wife just threatened to have me kicked out because I refused to house you, and that happened just a few minutes ago. There is no use making excuses and being pleasant to me now. You and Ian need to leave before I call the cops. I would prefer if Jack leaves as well, but if he needs an eviction notice, he will get that soon.
Shane and Irina then started to beg with me to change my mind. Those two idiots had really ended their lease because they wanted to move in with us. Jack thought that he would somehow convince me to play along like I did in the past. He had no idea that I would actually stand up against him and stop being a pushover. I was done being the family doormat. Not anymore. They could go to hell for all I care. But Shane for years. When I saw that Irina and Shane weren't leaving, even after an hour, I decided to call the cops. They came and escorted them out of the house. After Irina and Shane left, Jack screamed at me for humiliating his parents and kicking them out. I reminded him that he too had only a month to vacate my house. That made him switch his behavior, being apologetic and remorseful. The way this family changed their behavior seriously gave me a headache. Thankfully, I didn't have to deal with them for long. From that night onwards, I didn't allow Jack into my room. He stayed in the guest room till it was time for him to leave. Yes, he was served with an eviction notice, so he had no choice. Meanwhile, his parents, after spending a huge chunk of their savings on a hotel, were forced to find a new place to rent. Surprisingly, they didn't allow Jack into their new place. Jack was left scrambling for a place just like his parents were. I guess they really wanted Jack to pay for lying to them and leaving them in a lurch. From what it seems, since then, their relationship has been strained. They blamed each other for their present condition, and now his parents refuse to support Jack anymore. He was only good for them when he had money. Jack had no choice but to couch surf at his friends' places until he got a job. By choice, I filed for divorce from Jack. There was no way I was going to stay with him anymore. He disrespected me and revealed himself to be a very vain and selfish man. That was not the person I fell in love with. Jack tried his best to make me change my mind, but I was firm in my decision. I refused to be taken advantage of anymore. Since we don't have kids, we got divorced after being separated for 6 months only. In those 6 months, I built myself back up and now have started to date again. Surprisingly, Jack is still hoping we can get back together, but that, unfortunately, will be in his dreams only. My husband's boss and his wife were coming over for dinner, so I invited my mother-in-law, Oprah, as well. I'm a chef who loves to cook and feed people. My mom was a great cook and always encouraged me to develop this skill, so I fell in love with cooking at a very young age. It was inevitable that I was or end up in culinary school. I don't want to sound proud, but I am pretty good at it. I used to work in a popular restaurant in Manhattan. That is where I met my husband, Gabriel. He was eating with his workmates and really loved the food. He asked to see the chef, and the rest is history. No, I didn't work for big names or anything, but I can say that I make good food. That's something my mother-in-law, Oprah, had a hard time believing. Oprah herself is a baker. Even though she never went to culinary school, she lives in a small town and works as a baker for a small restaurant. Well, she doesn't work there anymore, and this story will tell you why.
So, my son has told me that you work as a cook. Are you like a salad maker or something?
No, Oprah. I am the head chef at a pretty popular restaurant. I'm not just a salad maker, although sometimes I help my staff assemble them.
Oh, you don't have to act all high and fancy in front of me. I'm sure Gabriel has told you that I am a great cook. I'm pretty well known in my town, and everyone loves my food. I can cook some really good meals too.
That's so exciting, Oprah. Yes, Gabriel did tell me that you are a great cook. I'm excited to go on a culinary journey with you. We can brainstorm and make some great dishes together.
Wait. Hold on, Lillian. Now you're just a youngster. I am a veteran chef and have more complex skills than you. I don't think we'll be a good match. My dishes and techniques will go over your head.
Well, I am a good learner. I went to culinary school, so I know some complex stuff about cooking. Even if I don't know, you can teach me so I can learn then.
I'm very busy with work and don't have time to take private classes. Maybe once you are as old as me, you might be just as good, or maybe not.
Oprah said that and started to laugh. She had this horrible air of pride in her that made me uncomfortable. Her stance on me didn't change at all. She was sure that I was a bad chef and nothing compared to her. At first, I wanted to stay humble and give her respect. However, she started to humiliate me and act like I'm inferior or something. Working for years in this high-pressure industry, these insults hit very close to my heart. I was determined to prove her wrong. After Gabriel and I got married, Oprah simply escalated her behavior. She made fun of me and my cooking every time she talked about me. She even went as far as to humiliate me in front of my guests. Even Gabriel was getting tired of her entitled and proud behavior. He often stood up for me and told me that I was a great cook, but Oprah never agreed. It all came to a head when we visited Oprah in her town. We stayed at her place for a week because I wanted to see where Gabriel grew up. I had no idea what was waiting for me there. About 4 days after we came to Oprah's house, she gave me a big challenge. She said, "My son defends you a lot and says that your cooking is great." I'm slightly offended, knowing he thinks so highly of your cooking. His own mother is a great cook, so it hurts. How about we solve that problem, Gabriel? Let's have a nice family dinner tomorrow. Lillian can do all the cooking. I want to taste her food and see if she is really that good.
It's not like that, Mom. I love your cooking as well. I just find it unfair when you demean her and criticize her too much. I mean, you didn't even taste her food once.
Let's have a nice family dinner tomorrow. Lillian can do all the cooking. I want to taste her food and see if she is really that good.
I would appear would be happy to make a family dinner. Oprah, I will try my best to impress you. Trust me, guys, I had no interest in impressing Oprah. I knew that her pride wouldn't let her appreciate my food. Still, I wanted to prove myself once, so I agreed to cook a nice dinner for us. This next day, I had no idea that Oprah had suggested this plan just to humiliate me. How do I know? Well, the next day, when I left my food in the oven, I got a text from her. I was in my room waiting eat the food to cook. I was curious as to what Oprah was sending me from the next room. I opened the text and saw that she had sent me a video of her adding too much salt to my food. She then texted me and said, "Now let's see if Gabriel still thinks you are better than me. After today, he will never praise your cooking again." Wow, Oprah, you destroyed the meal I cooked with so much work. Then sent me the evidence to mock me? Have you no shame? I literally prepared it for hours. I don't care, Miss Wannabe Head Chef. You are nothing but a little girl who thinks she's better than me. Today, we will see who wins. You are acting in a very unethical way, Oprah. This is not how someone wins or loses. Plus, this was never a competition. You sabotaged my food, whatever, Lillian. You don't have enough time to make a new meal now. Gabriel will be home within an hour. It will be so fun to see you get humiliated in front of him.
Attorney. Now, let's see if Gabriel still thinks you are better than me. After today, he will never praise your cooking again.
Listen, Oprah, you destroyed the meal I cooked with so much work and you sent me the evidence to mock me. Have you no shame? I literally prepared it for hours. I don't care, Miss Wannabe Head Chef. You are nothing but a little girl who thinks she's better than me. Today, we will see who wins. You are acting in a very unethical way, Oprah. This is not how someone wins or loses. Plus, this was never competition. You sabotaged my food.
I don't care, Miss Wannabe Head Chef. You are nothing but a little girl who thinks she is better than me. Today, we will see who wins.
You are acting in a very unethical way. Oprah, this is not how someone wins or loses. Plus, this was never a competition. You sabotaged my food.
Take whatever, Lillian. You don't have enough time to make a new meal now. Gabriel will be home within an hour. It will be so fun to see you get humiliated in front of him.
Gabriel, I need to talk to you about something important.
Yeah, sure. What is the matter, Lillian?
Gabriel, I don't know how to say this. Your mom has tried to destroy my cooking. She sent me a video of her adding too much salt to my dish. I left the food to cook and went to her room for my phone.
Looks right when I was scrolling through the messages, she sent the video. If you don't believe me, take a look at that. I asked it for it immediately. I called Gabriel and told him that we needed to talk. I said, Gabriel, I need to talk to you about something important. He was horrified to see what Oprah did. He reads a lot of these crazy mother-in-law stories and knows that behaviors like these always escalate. He never thought Oprah would turn out to be one of them. Actual Prissets. Once he saw the proof, he was furious. And someone for this special dinner. I'm sure she will appreciate my mom's altered recipe. Let's give her a chance to impress someone very important.
You know what, Lillian? I'm gonna call someone for this special dinner. I'm sure she will appreciate my mom's altered recipe. Let's give her a chance to impress someone very important.
Who do you have in mind? Gabriel, I can tell you're making excellent plan. You seem pretty excited about this.
I will tell you who I called. Lillian, I'm sure it'll get you excited as well. It's gonna be glorious after today. I don't think I would want my mom in our lives, but that won't be enough for... She really needs to get a taste of her own medicine. Altering someone's food is actually an offense. Today, she has added salt. Tomorrow, who knows what she will do. We need to nip this in the bud so that she knows how bad she messed up.
Those willing. I like the way you're thinking, Gabriel. To be honest, I was really hoping we could stop contact with Oprah after this. You have no idea how happy I am knowing that.
Gabriel shared his plan with me, and I must say he has a wicked mind. But Oprah deserves this completely. It would be extra fun to see her reaction when she realizes how bad she messed up. I okayed. is the plan and told Gabriel to call his special guest. We didn't tell Oprah right away. It would be a grand surprise. After 2 hours, my meal was finally ready. I should say our meal because I did get help from Oprah, whose assistance is indispensable. I had to work hard to control my laughter so that Oprah would not realize that I knew something. The dinner actually looked pretty good because, well, I am a good cook. But Oprah and I both knew it would taste horrible with all the salt she added. Oprah and I were both excited for dinner for 2 different reasons. We went to the dining space to get everything ready. Gabriel was already home and setting up the table for us. Oprah looked a little confused when she saw an extra seat at the table. She said,
"That's you have messed up the seating, Gabriel. There were just 3 of us. Why have you added an extra chair?"
I forgot to tell you, Mom. I actually invited someone over today. Eileen has worked hard for this meal, but I thought we could use some professional judgment on it.
Oh, I see, Gabriel. So, who have you called? Do I know this person?
Yes, Mom. You know, very well. It's my friend Tessa. Since she is your boss and knows a lot about food, I thought she would be the perfect critic.
Oprah immediately looked alarmed at what Gabriel said. Her face changed so quickly that I almost lost it right there. Even Gabriel was struggling not to laugh, but he feigned confusion and asked if Oprah was okay. Love for food. Coincidentally, Oprah was actually working as a baker at Tessa's restaurant, so she was Oprah's boss. Tessa knew what was up and gladly agreed to take part. Confusion and asked if Oprah was okay. My wonderful husband literally had the best idea. Tessa was a very good friend of ours. She was originally Gabriel's friend, but we also bonded fast over our looking for food. Coincidentally, Oprah was actually working as a baker at Tessa's restaurant, so she was Oprah's boss. Tessa knew what was up and agreed to take part. Justin bonded fast over our love for food. Coincidentally, Oprah was actually working as a baker at Tessa's restaurant, so she was Oprah's boss. Tessa knew what was up and agreed to take part.
Thanks for coming, Tessa. We're glad to have you here. I just sprung this invitation on you, and Mom, I hope you don't feel uncomfortable. Tessa is family anyway.
Oh well, it's not a problem at all. I'm happy my boss can have a taste of what my chef daughter-in-law has cooked. Tessa, thank you for coming.
Oprah mumbled this and couldn't look Tessa in the eye. She smiled innocently at her and sat down for dinner. She also commented on how great the food looked. I sweetly got up from my seat and started to serve everyone. I gave Oprah a generous amount of serving because, well, she was the one who wanted to taste my dish so bad. As soon as everyone took one bite of the food, they had to spit it out. I tasted it, and seriously, it was pretty disgusting. Oprah actually started to cough from how bad it was. She stormed at me from her seat and said, "Oh my God, Lillian, this is horrible. Why did you put so much salt in it? You are a terrible cook."
Ichu, I see that I was right. Going to a culinary school doesn't mean you can be a good cook. I am so embarrassed that Tessa had to taste this.
I agree. This is just horrible. But it's highly unlikely someone added this much salt by mistake. There is no way they didn't know what they were doing.
Exactly, Tessa. This can't be an accident. See, Oprah, a professional always knows when someone messed up the salt measurements and when a dish was intentionally made salty.
Oprah again looked like a deer in headlights. She was afraid to think that we had caught her. She tried to keep her face neutral and blamed me for everything. She is truly excellent at continuing her charade. She said,
Oh God, Lillian. Did you intentionally add too much salt to the food? You knew Tessa was coming to taste your food. I can understand that you have no respect for me, but you should have thought about our guests.
You are wrong, Oprah. I didn't intentionally put too much salt in the dish. You did. Don't look so surprised and offended. We know you spoiled my dish by adding too much salt.
How dare you accuse me of such a thing? I am just a poor old lady who wants to see how good you can cook. How dare you accuse me of such a thing? I am just an old lady who is curious about your cooking skills. You are just jealous of my cooking skills and making false allegations. I bet you don't even know how to cook properly. Who knows if you even went to culinary school?
I'm not lying, Oprah. You and I both know that very well. You intentionally put salt in my food to make it taste bad.
Gabriel, look at what your wife is saying. I am sure she did it herself so that she could make me look bad. Why aren't you saying anything?
I'm not saying anything because I saw the proof, Mom. I know you did it. Lillian has it recorded on her mobile. Hey, Tessa, do you want to see it?
Tessa seemed enthusiastic about seeing the video. When Oprah realized that her nasty plan was caught, she started to panic. She looked scared and was gulping hard. Tessa saw the video and looked at Oprah with a serious face. She said, "What is the meaning of this, Oprah? You intentionally spoiled Lillian's cooking because you were jealous."
Tessa, it's not like that. I was just joking with her. It was just a friendly competition.
I don't care why you did it, Oprah. You know very well how this kind of behavior is frowned upon in this industry. Spoiling someone's cooking is a very bad thing to do. I don't know if I can trust you in my restaurant anymore.
No, Tessa. I would never do that at the restaurant. I was only a little jealous of Lillian because she has a fancy degree and all. I swear I would never jeopardize your restaurant's reputation.
It's the fact that you could do this to your own daughter-in-law is horrible, Oprah. I can't even begin to imagine what you would do when you get jealous of your fellow co-workers. I don't think I can take that risk. I am afraid that I have to fire you.
No, Tessa. Please don't do that. I am so sorry. This will never happen again. I beg of you, please don't fire me.
Oprah began to beg for forgiveness from Tessa. She started to cry when she heard about losing her job. My dear mother-in-law got so frantic that she was ready to beg on her knees. She lives in a small town, so finding a new job like this is very rare. The town literally has one restaurant and one cafe. The cafe already has one excellent baker from culinary school, and it is the owner herself. And the pasta for Promily, so no luck there. Tessa gave Oprah the job because she was Gabriel's mom. Otherwise, there were plenty of good candidates in the town. At the restaurant, so it would be easy to replace her. Oprah knew that and started to cry.
Gabriel, please make Tessa understand. I can't lose my job. It was a small mistake, and it won't happen again. Please help me.
Yo, why would I help you, Ma? It's right. It would be risky for her to keep you as her staff. I mean, considering your lack of ethics, which is dangerous for any place of business. I support her decision completely. The employee with no ethics is dangerous for any place of business. I support Tessa's decision completely. I haven't even seen you apologize to Lillian about what you did. Alright, I will apologize to, here right now. I soberly do right like her right now. Lillian, I'm sorry. It's a mistake. Please forgive me. Absolutely not, Oprah. This wasn't a mistake. You planned the entire thing and acted maliciously towards her. I can't forgive. I'm like this.
Okay. I will apologize to her right now. Lillian, I'm sorry. It was a mistake. Please forgive me. Actually, it wasn't a mistake. I planned the entire thing and acted maliciously towards you. 6. Wouldn't have apologized if my job wasn't on the line. I can't expect you to forgive me, and I understand if you don't want to be around me anymore. Mom, you really took it too far today. I don't feel comfortable being around you with my wife anymore. We will be leaving today. I had already packed our bags while you two were finishing up. We don't want any contact with you anymore, at least not for now.
Good decision, Gabriel. You two can stay with me while you find flights. It won't be a problem. I'll be happy to host you, unlike Oprah here.
Oprah went mad when we said this. She started to yell and cry about how I ruined her life and all. In one swoop, she lost both her job and her family. She was hysterical, pouring a lot of venom on me. The cheers that gave us the incentive to hurry up and leave. There was no coming back from what she said. I won't mention her words because they were truly that bad. Me, Gabriel, and Tessa left while Oprah was sobbing on the floor, still screaming at me. After leaving the house, the three of us went straight to Tessa's restaurant to eat. We had a nice dinner there and actually talked about her new restaurant. Tessa was planning to open a new place. Eateries where we lived, and she wanted me to work there. Gabriel was also interested in investing in her new venture, and we made a good business deal. Tessa is truly a great businesswoman, and we had full faith in her. Overall, our day went pretty well. Extra sections. The next day, Gabriel and I managed to get a flight back from the nearest city. Tessa drove us there and bid us goodbye. Of course, we would see her soon to finalize our plans for her new restaurant. Meanwhile, Oprah kept blowing up all our phones. Tessa texted her back because she still needed to fire her in the legal way. We simply told her not to contact us and blocked her. We read the texts a day later and saw that she was truly becoming unhinged as the days passed. Oprah was in big trouble. Tessa fired her as promised and got a better replacement. She was out of work and desperately needed money. Tessa told us that Oprah had to take work as a cleaner in a grocery store because literally no job was available. That made us chuckle a little. I did feel bad for her for a while, but then I remembered the words she used against me. It was enough to send me up to having no contact with her. Tessa's new restaurant is up and running within a year, with Gabriel's contribution helping significantly. Soon I remembered the words she used against me. It was enough to send me back to having no contact with her. Tessa's new restaurant is up and running within a year. Gabriel's contribution helped kickstart it. I'm currently working there and having a great time. Tessa comes down here sometimes to check on things. We have bonded even more and have lots of fun together. We're still in no contact with Oprah and hope to keep it that way until she shows real progress.